Hi everyone, this is Federica and today I'm with my curious friends Jacopo, Lorenzo and Filippo.
Ciao! Ciao!
Today we're gonna show you something super beautiful. Are you ready?
Yes!
Let's go! We are on the Palatine Hill, one of the hills of Rome. This hill is very important because this is where the emperors of ancient Rome used to live. But not only the emperors lived here, also other people. And one of them was a woman called Locusta. Locusta was a famous poison maker and one of the first serial killers of history. You need to imagine that in Rome at the time, there were a lot of greedy and ambitious people in the higher class of society. And these people had lots of enemies that they wanted to get rid of. That is why Locusta had a lot of important customers. For example, the Emperor Nero, who employed her to get rid of some of his enemies and to train other poisoners. And that is why she lived in this area, close to the imperial residency. And she had the protection of the Emperor Nero, or at least as long as he was alive. But now let's leave Locusta behind and let's continue our exploration.
Where are we going?
Today we are going to the house of Augustus and Livia. Do you know who were they?
Emperors!
Exactly, let's go! Augustus was the first emperor of Rome and Livia his wife. They built their house in here not by chance, but because this was a very important place. In fact, this was the place where Romulus, the legendary founder of Rome, founded the city. It was on April 21st of the year 753 BC. Romulus founded the city of Rome. It started off as a small hut village, to then become centuries later a huge empire covering up to 3 continents. This is the area of the first huts of Rome, and one of them is Romulus' hut. This is where the first ancient Romans used to live. You see those holes on the floor? That's where the wooden posts were inserted, and those wooden posts would support the structure of the huts. The Romulus huts looked something like this. Now that you know the story, you understand why the emperors wanted to build their residency right next to Romulus' huts. In fact, the emperors wanted to create a connection between the glorious founder of Rome and themselves. And as you can see, it only takes few steps to actually reach the house of the first emperor of Rome. We've seen what the first houses looked like when Rome was founded. They were huts. Now it's time to see what the wealthy houses looked like during the Roman Empire. This is the door to enter the house of Livia. Let's open the door and walk the same rooms that Livia and Augustus walked with their own feet. Today we enter the house of Livia from this entrance. This was a secondary entrance that goes slightly down on a slope. And what do we see here? We can see this mosaic floor made of teeny tiny pieces of white and black stones. And then look at the frescoes on the walls. Look at how the colors are so vibrant. And then we turn to the left, and here we are. We are inside this courtyard, and from here we can see 3 big and colorful rooms in front of us. This is the house of Livia from the 1st century BC. Can you imagine how ancient is that? And what we see are only some of the rooms that made this whole house. We are not 100% sure as of today of what was happening in these rooms, but we can use a little bit of our imagination. This is the so-called tablinum. In ancient Roman houses, the tablinum was the office of the landlord. Imagine a table in the center of this room where he will receive his clients, or where the family, for example, will keep their documents. But this was for sure an important room of the house, because look at the floors, how nicely decorated they are. In general, when you see a nicely decorated floor, that probably means that was an important room in the house. Look at the paintings on the walls. They were made 2000 years ago, but the colors are still so bright and vibrant. Would you believe they're so ancient? We call these paintings frescoes, and usually the frescoes inside the ancient Roman houses depicted columns, garlands, even fake windows to give us the illusion that we will actually look outside of a window. Now imagine Livia and Augustus walking in these very rooms. Maybe it's in one of these rooms that the Emperor Augustus asked for advice to his wife Livia and then made decisions that still today in school we study in our history books. The ancient Roman houses were called domus. If they were wealthy domus, wealthy houses, they would look like this. A lot of colors and paintings on the walls. Every single inch of these walls was colored. Do you like it here?
Yes.
But do your houses look like this inside?
No.
That's what I thought. Today, in fact, our houses usually have plain walls, but lots of furniture, paintings hanging on the walls, and so on. In ancient Rome, the wealthy houses were the opposite. They had little furniture, but a lot of decorations painted on the walls. The walls were super colorful.
I have a question. I don't see any windows here.
That is very true, actually. There is no windows in these rooms. In fact, the ancient Roman houses had very few windows. The rooms were a little dark, just as we see them now. The ancient Romans used oil lamps to illuminate their rooms, and oil lamps made a light which was not as strong as our lamps in our houses today.
Look, there is an animal.
That's true! Let's find more of them! Not just garlands and columns, but also little creatures are populating these walls. Roars, birds, turtles, but also fantastic creatures like sphinxes and many more. Now let's enter this room. This room was probably the triclinium. The triclinium was the dining room, and we can imagine that banquets were happening in here. Imagine the sound of the dishes being placed on the table, the chatting of the people eating here. But how do we know this was the house of Livia, the wife of the Emperor Augustus? This is because of something that was found in here and that today we can see in this room. Can you see these pipes? Those were the water pipes of ancient Rome, and they were bringing the water to this house. They were made of lead, which is a material that in contact with water made the water toxic. But the ancient Romans at the time, they didn't know. Anyways, usually these pipes carry the names of the owner of that particular pipe. And on one of them we can read Julia. That must have been Livia, the wife of Augustus, because Julia was a sort of nickname that was given to Livia. And that's why we think this was her house. We hope that you enjoyed exploring the Palatine Hill and the House of Livia with us today, and that you will soon be able to visit this incredible place in person. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next episode. From Federica, Jacopo, Lorenzo and Filippo, ciao!
A question. Why there is... Why?
Ma kids, do your houses look like... No, aspetta, come le fare? Ok, adesso uno di voi... Dai.
Look, there is hand.
No, fallo più forte, più forte. Dai, Jacopo.